Welcome back to First at 4. I'm meteorologist Jacob Morse here at the National Weather Service in Bismarck, starting a deep dive series talking about how weather balloons are launched by meteorologists to help them understand what the current conditions are in our atmosphere and to help weather forecast models improve their accuracy for predicting the future. We'll start with this week's episode talking about how the weather balloon is prepared to be launched. Weather balloons are launched twice per day at hundreds of locations around the world, including by 68 weather forecast offices across the contiguous U.S., meaning that not every office launches a balloon. For instance, the Weather Service in Grand Forks does not launch weather balloons, while the office in Bismarck does at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time daily. And we'll follow along with the journey of how the balloon is prepared to be launched.
So right here we're opening up the balloon. Nice latex balloon here, and it's coated with a special coating to kind of keep the latex preserved.
The balloon is filled with locally supplied hydrogen gas that will help the balloon rise quickly.
So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the parachute. You got to unravel the parachute so it doesn't stick together when it falls. So then what I do is you got to prepare a 6-foot string, so you can go a little bit over 6 feet to 6, but it's got to be a minimum of 6 feet. So the parachute doesn't influence or interfere with the balloon as it goes up. We want the most precise data. I'm about 6 feet tall, so this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the knot and just kind of run the string through it. So, boom, just like that. Next, I'm going to grab another piece of string, and we're going to have to tie this end off right here. So that end right there is going to have to be tied off when the balloon's done inflating. And the balloon keeps filling up for about 10 minutes until it's about 6 feet wide, but will expand drastically after it's launched and before it pops. So the balloon is going to get to the size of a small house to a bus. So when it gets up in the upper atmosphere, there'll be enough PSI. We do about 1100 PSI here at this office. Based on its latitude, and it will lift the balloon, this mechanism, all the way up, and it will shut off the gas. Since we are dealing with hydrogen, everything here is grounded. So all these wires, we have this wire connected to the clip here is grounded. Everything on this table is grounded. After the balloon is filled, it's tied off and positioned to get ready for launch. Next, we head inside to prepare the radiosonde, which is the small device attached to the string below the balloon, measuring atmospheric conditions as the balloon travels up. So we have a temperature sensor and a dew point sensor and a GPS, and that's pretty much it. The GPS is actually in the instrument here, and then here's the antenna right here that transmits the GPS. Once the battery-powered radiosonde is initialized, we can head back outside to attach it to the balloon. We have the string kind of go out approximately about 75 feet because the balloon is going to grow in size when it's in the atmosphere, and we want to make sure that the radiosonde is far enough away from the balloon so it's not being interference. There's no interference between the balloon, maybe blocking, some of the wind speed or causing some temperature issues. And so that's generally why we try to go with 75 feet. Now that it's 6 p.m., the balloon is ready to be launched. Next week on Morse Code of Weather, we'll look into how the weather balloon is launched and how the data is collected to help meteorologists understand the current conditions of our atmosphere.
We have to have a sampling of the atmosphere, and that's the way we get that information that goes into computer modeling. It helps meteorologists like ourselves to figure out what the atmosphere is doing and how it's behaving. So we have to have that sample through the whole column of the atmosphere to figure out storm systems, pressure, temperature, wind, all that's derived from these radiosondes.
Weather balloons are fascinating to me, though. This is interesting stuff, as always, Jacob.
Absolutely, yeah.
Dumbs it down so even I can understand it. I appreciate that.
And I learned something new, too. So it's great.
We can always learn, right?
Even meteorologists, right?
Up next.